There are new details in the investigation into the deadly school shooting in Uvalde. Through his own handwritten notes and multiple interviews, we're learning more about what Governor Greg Abbott was told in his first briefing about the mass shooting and what he said on his own.
The governor later said that he was misled, a quote from the governor. But officials have not fully described in what way or by whom. Senior reporter Tony Plohetski joins us here at the desk. He's been working with his colleagues at the Austin American-Statesman to really more fully understand what happened behind closed doors. So Tony, what have you learned about who told the governor and what the governor was told?
It's so important that we know the sequence of events because the governor, of course, in those early hours sort of set the narrative for the public. And we now know that his briefing was primarily based on information from 3 law enforcement officials. One is a leading police officer from the Uvalde Police Department who was in that briefing room but had a medical emergency. Pete Arredondo, of course, he is the chief of the school district police department. He too was in the room, but we understand from people we have talked to who were also in the room that the majority of the presentation came from Victor Escalon. He's a regional Texas Department of Public Safety director. He is the one, we are told, who informed the governor about officers engaging with the gunman, but DPS officials tell us that that information that Escalon provided the governor was from Police Chief Pete Arredondo.
All right, so Tony, some people that you talked to who were in that room were actually then pretty surprised at what the governor said publicly.
They describe it as taking what was said in that meeting room, which we all know was based on bad information, but that the governor, they say, then went a step further. And according to them, he did take some liberties concerning the extent of police actions, including when he gave the impression, they say, that the quick action by police may have saved lives. According to our information, no law enforcement official went that far in the briefing, and that instead the governor appeared to repeat a familiar talking point after these kinds of tragedies and mass shootings about the quick response of police.
And Tony, there was really no indication of a flawed response or a delayed response in that very initial briefing with the governor, was there?
Apparently no one said a word about that. It is not reflected in the governor's notes, and no one in that briefing room who may have had that information said so at the time. So just still a lot to unpack here.
It seems like they too don't want to unpack it. The officials that have the answers, for whatever reason, don't want those answers to be public.
Listen, we have all asked for information.
Right.
Here at KVUE, my colleagues in the journalism community across the state and for that matter across the country. And so far, officials seem to be fighting this information. And so it's really hard for us to get at the truth without that level of information.
Well, the families need the truth.
I was going to say, I know the parents and the families
we keep saying
want that
and no one seems to be hearing it so far.
Great work as always. Thanks,
Thank you.